The Christmas party was supposed to be boring. That was the only reason Sophia Bennett had agreed to go, because she thought it would be dull enough to slip out early, maybe pick up Chinese takeout on the way home, and finish binge-watching that crime drama she couldn't stop thinking about. She had dressed safe. Black satin slip dress under a wine-colored blazer, heels that clicked but didn't scream, lipstick just a shade redder than usual. Harmless. But the minute she stepped into the penthouse, she knew she'd made a mistake. It wasn't the music, low jazz that bled into the marble floors, or the catered champagne that floated like perfume in the air. It wasn't even the sleet-smeared windows or the towering Christmas tree glittering like it had been licked by fire. It was her, Raven Carmine,
CL,
Ice Queen, Phantom in tailored black, and somehow standing beneath the mistletoe directly in Sophia's line of sight. Everyone talked about her, whispered really, that she never came to parties, that she didn't drink, that she could make a man resign with a glance, that she had built an empire from dust and ashes and one perfectly timed acquisition. Sophia had only seen her twice in person, both times during all-hands meetings, both times seated on the edge of some leather throne, hands folded, face expressionless. But tonight she was looking at her. Not past her, not through her, at her, and smiling. Ms. Bennett. Her voice was smoke curling inside a crystal glass. You look, a pause. Festive. Sophia blinked. Thank you, Miss Carmine. Raven, the woman corrected, stepping closer, her heels soundless, her presence somehow heavier than the air itself. It's a party, right? Sophia said, feeling like her tongue had tripled in size. Raven. Good girl, Raven murmured, almost to herself, eyes flicking down Sophia's figure in a way that made her heart race and her thighs tense. And then she gestured upward. Mistletoe. Tradition is a powerful thing, wouldn't you agree? Sure. Then kiss me. The words weren't suggestive. They were a command cloaked in silk. And Sophia, breath stuttering, cheeks blazing, stepped forward. Their lips met. Not soft. Not tentative. Like a match dragged across sandpaper. Raven tasted like winter wind and something darker, like blood and velvet and secrets. It should have ended there. Should have been awkward. A flirt. A scandalous anecdote for future therapy. But Raven's hand caught her waist, fingers like ice through the thin fabric, and pulled her closer. Sophia gasped. And that's when it happened. The bite. Sharp. Precise. Just below her jawline. Pain bloomed white, then red, then nothing. She couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. Just heat. Darkness. A flash of eyes, not hers. A hunger that wasn't hers. A scream that never reached her throat. And then silence. When she opened her eyes, she was alone. The mistletoe hung still. The music had changed. No one looked at her. No one seemed to have noticed. But her skin was burning. Her pulse off. Her breath too shallow. Something was wrong. The next morning, she woke in her apartment with no memory of how she got home. Her neck throbbed. When she looked in the mirror, there were no marks, except a faint shadow under her jaw, like twin bruises too clean to be natural. And she could still feel her. Raven. Like a pressure behind her thoughts. Like someone else was breathing inside her skin. All day she felt watched. When she touched metal, it sparked. When she drank coffee, it tasted like ash. When she looked at the sun, her head ached. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. We need to talk. Come to my office. Tonight. RC. Sophia stared at the message, her fingers trembling. Something had happened. Something impossible. And whatever it wasn't over. Not even close. The elevator ride to the top floor of Carmine Enterprises felt like a descent into something far below the earth, despite the fact she was going up. Sophia Bennett had never been in this part of the building. Only executives had access to it, and even then, the rumors were that the top floor wasn't just a workspace. It was something else entirely. She hadn't wanted to come. Every cell in her body screamed at her to ignore the text, block the number, pretend none of it had happened. But every time she tried to delete the message, her fingers froze. Every time she thought about skipping the meeting, her heart twisted with a pain that felt like it belonged to someone else. She could feel Raven. Not just a memory, but a presence, a quiet, icy echo that pulsed behind her ribs. It wasn't just attraction anymore. It was hunger, not hers, but still inside her. When the elevator doors opened, the hallway was empty, lights low, silent, except for the faint sound of something humming beneath the surface, like a growl too deep to hear fully. Sophia stepped out, her heels clicking softly against black marble. At the end of the corridor stood a massive set of double doors, ebony wood, carved with something she couldn't make out unless she got closer. She never made it that far. The doors opened on their own. Raven Carmine was waiting. She sat behind a desk that didn't look like it belonged in an office. It looked like it belonged in a cathedral. Her skin was paler than Sophia remembered, her dark hair coiled in a twist that revealed the sharp line of her neck, and her lips were the same impossible shade of blood red she'd worn the night of the party. Her eyes met Sophia's, and it was like being caught in a current. "You came," Raven said, her voice low, unreadable.
"Good."
"I didn't really have a choice," Sophia replied, trying to sound brave, but it came out thin. Raven tilted her head, studying her. "You felt it." "Felt what?"
"Me."
Silence. "What did you do to me?" Sophia demanded. "What the hell did you do?" "I marked you." Raven stood, walking slowly from behind the desk. She moved like a shadow given form. "You asked for the truth.
So I'll give it to you."
"I am not what you think I am." Sophia laughed bitterly. "Yeah, I'm starting to figure that out." "The bite wasn't random," Raven said, stopping just a foot away from her. "It wasn't just hunger or impulse. It was recognition." "Recognition?" "Of something I hadn't felt in centuries." She reached out, brushing her fingers along Sophia's wrist. "You were glowing that night. Not with light, something deeper. Something I thought I'd lost the ability to see." "You're not making sense." Raven's eyes darkened. "I am a vampire, Sophia." The words hung between them, ridiculous and heavy. Sophia opened her mouth to argue, but Raven was already moving. 1 second she stood before her, the next she was behind her, whispering into her ear. "Your blood called to me. I bit you, and now we're bound. I feel what you feel. You feel what I do. The connection will only deepen with time. And if you stay near me," her lips brushed the skin where she'd bitten, "you'll stop being entirely human." Sophia jerked away, heart pounding, fear crawling up her spine like ice.
"No."
"No, this is insane. This is some psychotic power trip. You haven't been sleeping," Raven said calmly. "You dream things that aren't yours. You feel emotions that come out of nowhere. You can taste things differently. You flinch from sunlight. Am I wrong?" Sophia's breath hitched. "It's temporary," she whispered. "It'll pass." "It won't. The bond is permanent." "Then undo it." "I can't." Raven's voice softened, almost regretful. "I wouldn't if I could." "Why?" "Because I've been alone for longer than you can imagine," she said, stepping closer again. "And for the first time, I'm not." Sophia shook her head, overwhelmed, furious, terrified. "I'm not yours. I'm not some pet you can keep in a gilded cage." "You're not a pet," Raven said. "You're the only person in the last 400 years who's made me feel anything real." Her voice cracked just slightly. "Do you think I would risk exposure, my power, everything, just to play games?" "I don't know what to think," Sophia snapped, turning her back. "All I know is you stole my life."
"You didn't ask."
"You just took." "Because I didn't have time to ask," Raven said sharply. "Because if I had, I would have talked myself out of it. Because I saw you and I knew if I didn't bite you, I would regret it for eternity. And now you're in my blood." Sophia felt her own body react before her brain did. A sharp ache in her chest. A flicker of longing that didn't feel like hers. She turned back, furious. "This bond, whatever it is, it's already affecting me. I don't want you. I didn't choose this." Raven didn't flinch. "But you feel it, don't you?"
"Right now."
That pull. The way your breath changes when I'm near. The part of you that's already hungry. Sophia opened her mouth to deny it, then closed it. Because she did feel it. Every inch of her screamed to leave. But somewhere, buried deep, was the truth. Her heart beat faster in Raven's presence. Her skin tingled when their eyes met. And part of her, God's help her, wanted to know what it would feel like to be bitten again. What happens now? She asked, voice raw. Now, we manage the bond. We learn its limits. And we try not to get each other killed. There are others like you? Many. And not all of them will be pleased to know I've created a tether. Especially not with a human. Then why do it? Because you are the only thing I've wanted in a century. Raven's voice dropped lower. And because something tells me you're going to want me too. Eventually. The silence between them was unbearable. Then Sophia did the unthinkable. She stepped forward. If I stay, she said slowly, I want answers. Real ones. No games. No cryptic vampire riddles. Agreed, Raven said.
And space.
I'm not some toy you can control with your mind or emotions. I wouldn't dare. You already have. Their eyes locked. The tension between them thickened, hot, electric. Raven smiled, something sharp and sad behind her lips. Careful, Sophia. The more you fight the bond, the more it tightens. I'm not afraid of you, Sophia lied. You should be, Raven whispered. Then, without touching her, she turned and disappeared into the shadows of her office, leaving Sophia breathless, confused, and undeniably changed. Sophia didn't remember saying yes. There had been no definitive moment, no clear line where consent had solidified in her mind. And yet, somehow, she found herself in the back seat of a car with blacked-out windows, Raven Carmine sitting silently beside her, not touching her, not even looking at her, but still managing to occupy every inch of space between them. She could feel the hum of Raven's energy, like static electricity brushing the underside of her skin. It wasn't violent, but it wasn't gentle either. It was just persistent. A quiet, inescapable pressure that reminded her she was no longer alone in her own body. They'd left the Carmine building through a private elevator that led to an underground garage so sleek and cold it felt more like a tomb than a parking space. Raven hadn't spoken since then.
She didn't need to.
The silence said more than words could. This isn't just business anymore. As the city lights faded behind them, Sophia finally broke. Where are we going? Her voice sounded thin in the luxury interior of the car, like she was trying to speak through cotton. Somewhere safe, Raven said without turning her head. For who? Sophia asked. Me? Or you? Both, Raven murmured. But mostly for the bond. Stop calling it that, Sophia snapped. It's not romantic. It's not beautiful. It's invasive. I feel like I'm being swallowed whole. That's because you're fighting it, Raven said calmly. The connection doesn't care about your resistance. It grows regardless. And if you keep resisting it blindly, it will hurt more. You keep talking about this thing like it's a living creature. Raven turned to her then, and in the dim light, her eyes shimmered, not red, not gold, but something ancient, something utterly other. It is, she said. In a way. It's a living thread between us. It feeds on proximity, emotion, blood. The more it gets, the stronger it becomes. So, what? You're saying this connection will eventually what? Eat me alive. Raven paused, her gaze unreadable. Love what you've seen so far and want to help me keep creating these awesome stories on this channel? Then subscribe and hit the bell. Your subscription supports the channel and makes sure you get more exciting stories.
No.
It will just become impossible to separate from who you are. Sophia shivered. Not from cold. From the terrifying truth of it. I never asked for this. Neither did I, Raven said quietly. The car pulled into a long private driveway that cut through what looked like miles of woods. There were no lights. No signs of civilization. Just tall black trees and shadows that moved even when the wind didn't. The house, or what Sophia thought might be a house, emerged like a memory. Victorian, tall, elegant, drenched in darkness and ivy. Candles flickered behind windows with stained glass panes, and wrought iron twisted around the porch like something alive. "Welcome," Raven said as the car stopped, "to where I hide from the world." Sophia stepped out and was immediately hit with the scent of rain on stone, of roses long dead, of earth and old wood. Raven didn't wait for her. She walked up the steps and unlocked the door with a key that looked like it belonged in a fairy tale. Inside was worse. Or better. She couldn't decide. There were no overhead lights, just firelight, candles, and antique sconces that cast golden shadows across bookshelves, velvet furniture, and paintings that seemed to move if she looked at them too long. Everything felt ancient, like it had been there forever, like it had been waiting. "No one else comes here," Raven said, closing the door behind them. "Not my assistants. Not my board. Not even other vampires." "Why me?" Sophia asked before she could stop herself. Raven's answer was simple. "Because you're mine." Sophia flinched. "Don't say that. It's the truth." "It sounds like ownership." "It's connection," Raven corrected. "Unbreakable. Eternal."
Craved.
Sophia walked forward into the room, trying to put distance between them. "You keep saying that like it's romantic."
But you don't know me. You don't know anything about me.
"Not yet," Raven said. "But I will.
And you'll know me.
More than anyone ever has." Sophia turned on her. "I don't want to know you. I want my life back." Raven's expression didn't change. "Then you'll have to learn how to live with this new version of it." "And if I don't want to?" Sophia challenged. Raven moved closer, slowly, deliberately, and every step was a question Sophia didn't know how to answer. "Then you'll suffer. And so will I. Because pain echoes through the bond like thunder, but desire echoes louder." She was inches away now. "That's what scares you the most, isn't it?" Sophia didn't move.
Couldn't.
"That part of you wants it. Wants me." Raven leaned in, not touching her, just whispering at the edge of her skin. "You dream about me. You feel the way my emotions twist inside you like silk. You crave the bite again. Don't you?" Sophia closed her eyes. She hated how her breath betrayed her. How her body didn't care what her mind screamed. How her blood, their blood, sang. "What do you want from me?" she whispered. "To survive this," Raven said. "With you. Not against you. And what if I can't forgive you for what you did?" "Then I'll spend centuries trying to earn it," she said simply. "But you'll still be mine. Because now I can't let go. Even if I wanted to." They stood in silence, nothing between them but firelight and tension. Then, without warning, Sophia gasped and stumbled back. A wave of emotion, not hers, slammed into her chest. Rage, pain, fear. "What the hell was that?" she asked, clutching her ribs. Raven's face darkened. "Someone's found out."
What?
"About the bond."
How?
"I don't know. But I felt it. Someone is angry. Someone ancient."
Who?
Raven didn't answer. Her expression shifted, elegant composure cracking just slightly to reveal something primal underneath. "We're not safe here anymore. I thought you said this place was hidden." "It was," Raven said, voice cold. "But the bond, it shines. It calls to those who can sense power. And now they know I'm no longer alone." Sophia's heart pounded. "What does that mean?" "It means war, Sophia." She turned, walking quickly into a hallway lined with mirrors. "It means they'll come for you. To break me.
To use you.
To test how far the bond can stretch before it breaks." "And what happens if it breaks?" Raven stopped. "We die," she said. "One or both, depending on how deep the bond already is." Sophia's legs nearly gave out. "Jesus." "Which is why," Raven said, eyes meeting hers in the reflection, "you need to learn how to control it.
Now."
The air inside Raven's sanctuary felt heavier the next morning. Not with dust or time, but with something invisible, like the house itself had begun to breathe along with them. Sophia hadn't slept, not truly. Every time she closed her eyes, she was swallowed by visions that didn't belong to her. a blade glinting in candlelight, a voice screaming in a language she didn't understand. Raven's hands, drenched in blood, not trembling. But worse than the dreams was the heat. A pull, deep in her belly and her chest, behind her eyes, like her body wasn't hers anymore. Like it was reaching for someone else, even in sleep. When she opened her eyes, Raven was already in the room, sitting in a chair near the fireplace, wearing a black silk robe that fell open just enough to reveal the pale curve of her throat, her collarbone, the start of something dangerous. Her eyes glowed faintly in the low light. Not supernatural, just focused. I felt it, Sophia said hoarsely, pushing herself up on the velvet chaise where she'd eventually passed out. Your memories. Your pain. The bond is deepening, Raven said softly. You're beginning to bleed into me. And I into you. I don't want it. That won't stop it. Then teach me, Sophia said. Whatever it is I need to do to stop it from consuming me, teach me, before I lose myself completely. Raven stood. She walked slowly across the room, barefoot, silent as a dream. She knelt beside Sophia, their faces inches apart. It's not about control, she said. It's about surrender. You don't master the bond by forcing it. You learn its rhythm. You learn to breathe with it. To listen. How the hell am I supposed to listen to something that feels like it's clawing through my insides? Close your eyes, Raven whispered. I'll show you. Sophia hesitated. Then, slowly, she let her eyes drift shut. What do you feel? Raven asked. Heat, Sophia whispered. My skin is on fire.
Good.
That's the bond pulsing. Now breathe. Let it burn. Don't fight it. Sophia inhaled, and the world shifted. She wasn't in her body anymore. Not fully. She felt Raven's emotions, sharp, aching, restrained like a dam about to burst. Loneliness, hunger, desire, all tangled together like silk and barbed wire. And beneath it, something else. Fear. Sophia gasped. Her eyes flew open. You're afraid. Raven looked away. Of losing control. Of me. Of what you make me feel. Silence crackled between them. And then Raven stood again, putting distance where there hadn't been any. There are levels to the bond, she said. Right now, we're still tethered by instinct. The bite awakened the connection, but it's raw, chaotic, emotional. But if you learn to channel it, to refine it, you can use it. Use it how? To shield yourself. To read others, to survive. And if I don't, Raven's expression darkened. Then the bond will feed off your pain. It will amplify it. And eventually, it will crush you. So, how do I start? Raven motioned for her to follow. She led Sophia down a corridor that curved like a spine, past doors that whispered things she didn't understand. One opened with a sound of iron sighing. Inside was a room unlike any other, a circle of obsidian tile, the ceiling covered in constellations made of bone-white crystal, the walls lined with ancient weapons and candles flickering in glass cages. What is this place? Sophia whispered. Where you'll train, Raven said. Where I trained, before I became what I am. Sophia stepped into the circle. The moment her feet touched the tile, she felt it. The bond humming, stronger, like the room amplified it. This room is warded. Nothing you do here will bleed into the outside. No one can hear you scream. Reassuring. Don't pretend you're not drawn to it, Raven said, walking the circle's edge like a predator. The bond craves intensity. If you want to survive, you'll have to give it what it wants. And what does it want? Power. Emotion.
Blood. Me.
Raven stopped in front of her. It wants me. Sophia's throat went dry. Then let's get this over with. The first test wasn't physical. It was emotional. Raven stood behind her, whispering memories, some hers, some not, into Sophia's ear until the bond blurred the lines. A battlefield. A funeral. A kiss under a black moon. Sophia cried without knowing why. She shook from grief she hadn't earned. But she endured. The second test was control. Raven drew a blade across her own palm, blood gleaming like rubies, and pressed it against Sophia's chest. The bond surged, screamed, begged for more. "Don't move," Raven said. "If you drink from me now, the bond will triple in strength."
Are you ready for that?
Sophia's hands trembled. Her lips parted. And then she stepped back. "No," Raven smiled faintly. "Good." The final test was desire. Raven stepped close. She didn't touch Sophia, but she let the bond flood between them. The room spun. Sophia's knees buckled. She saw flashes, Raven on her knees, Raven's lips against hers, Raven's voice begging in a language lost to time. Her own body burning with need that didn't feel like hers but also did. "This is what it becomes if left unchecked," Raven whispered. "Do you want to be mine, or do you want to belong to the bond?" Sophia's eyes locked with hers. "Neither," she said. "I want to belong to myself. Then earn it." They stood frozen in that moment, the line between fear and desire razor-thin. But before either could speak again, the candles in the room blew out. All of them. The floor vibrated. A hiss filled the air, cold and low. Raven's face snapped toward the door. "They've found us." "Who?" Sophia asked. "The ones who think I should be alone forever." The door burst open. The moment the door blew open, the temperature in the room dropped like a stone. The candles extinguished themselves in a single, unified breath, and the shadows that had once lingered politely along the walls came alive, twisting and churning like ink in water. Sophia didn't scream. She couldn't. Her breath had frozen in her lungs, and all she could do was stare as figures stepped through the threshold, 4 of them, tall and inhumanly still, faces half covered by masks carved with ancient runes. Their eyes glowed faintly, not like Raven's subtle gleam, but brighter, hungrier. Raven moved before the first one crossed the circle. Not with panic, not even with haste. Her body unfurled like a weapon remembering how to strike. A click of bone, a flicker of darkness, and then her clothes shifted into something far older. Black leather stitched with silver, a long coat that moved like smoke around her. Her eyes were no longer human, no longer trying to be. "You came to my home," she said softly. "A mistake you won't live to repeat." The one in front stepped forward. His voice was like gravel caught in fire. "You've broken covenant." "There is no covenant," Raven snapped. "Only rules written by corpses too afraid to be alone." "You made a bond," he hissed. "With prey." Sophia felt the room react to the word, prey, like it was laced with poison. She stepped closer to Raven despite every instinct screaming to run. "Stay behind me," Raven said without looking. "Don't speak. Don't think too loudly. They can smell fear like blood." "And what do they want?" "Me," Raven said. "Or you. Or both." The second intruder moved with impossible speed.
A blur.
A sound like wind being torn apart. Raven caught him mid-strike, her hand wrapped around his throat, claws digging into flesh.
Claws.
Not metaphorical.
Real.
Her nails had extended into black blades, curved and gleaming, and her fangs, because yes, now there was no mistaking them, were visible, bared, ready to shred. "She's under my protection," Raven said, her voice low and dangerous. "Which means she's under my wrath." "You're weak," the third intruder sneered. "You've let the bond poison you. We can smell your restraint." Raven threw the one in her grip across the room with bone-cracking force. He slammed into the wall and slid down, motionless. "You want to see what I am without restraint?" she asked, her voice trembling with fury. "Then you die here." The fight that followed was nothing Sophia could have prepared for. Raven didn't move like a person. She moved like shadow turned to vengeance, twisting, striking, vanishing, and reappearing in impossible places. Blood splattered across the black tiles, hissing where it landed. The attackers fought without humanity, silent, merciless, eyes blazing with fanatic purpose. But Raven was stronger.
Faster. Deadlier.
Until she wasn't. The fourth one, the smallest, slipped past the chaos and came for Sophia directly. No weapons. Just a hand outstretched and a smile too calm for a battlefield. Sophia backed up instinctively, but she was no match for supernatural speed.
He grabbed her wrist.
And in that instant, she felt something split inside her. The bond. It screamed. No words, just raw sound. Like metal tearing. Like ice cracking across a frozen sea. Raven froze mid-fight, her head snapping toward Sophia. Her eyes widened in horror. "Let her go," she shouted, voice no longer velvet but a scream torn from some buried part of her. "If you touch her, you touch me." The attacker smiled and drove his claws into Sophia's shoulder. Pain exploded, but it wasn't hers alone. Raven screamed. Literally screamed. She dropped to her knees, clutching her side as if she'd been stabbed. One of the others used that moment to strike, slamming a blade into her back. Sophia watched it happen through a veil of red. The bond lit up like fire. She didn't understand it, didn't know what she was doing, but something in her snapped free. Her vision shifted. Her blood felt hot. And her voice, came out deeper, layered. "Don't touch her," she growled, not recognizing her own sound. A pulse shot out from her chest, blue-white light, rippling through the room like a shockwave. Every candle relit itself in a blaze. Every attacker stumbled, shielding their faces. Even Raven looked stunned. Sophia stood tall, clutching her bleeding arm, shaking but burning. The bond pulsed again. Not as pain, as power. And for 1 second, the enemies looked at her not as prey, but as something unknown. Something new. "This isn't over," one of them hissed before vanishing into shadow. One by one, the others followed, leaving only scorched tile and blood in their wake. Silence fell. Raven was still on the floor, breath ragged. Sophia ran to her, dropping beside her. "You're hurt." "So are you," Raven said, eyes still wide with shock. "But you pushed them back." "I didn't mean to. I don't even know what I did." Raven's fingers brushed Sophia's cheek, trembling. "You tapped into it. Into the bond. But not passively. You used it." "What does that mean?" Sophia whispered. "It means you're changing," Raven said. "Faster than I expected. Stronger than you should be." "Is that a good thing?" "It means you might survive this." She reached for Sophia's hand, and that I might not be the only one with something ancient sleeping inside her. The room felt like it was holding its breath. Sophia squeezed her hand. "You saved me. We saved each other. What happens now?" "Now," Raven said, her voice almost breaking, "we clean up. We get stronger. And we prepare for the next wave." Sophia nodded, but her heart was still racing, because deep down, in the place where the bond lived and whispered truths, she knew something had shifted. She wasn't just connected to Raven. She was becoming something else. Something darker. Something more. They left the mansion before dawn. Raven insisted. The air was still thick with the energy of the attack, and though the bodies had vanished and the blood had been cleaned, Sophia could feel the echo of it in the walls. Something in the house was fractured, no longer safe. Raven didn't say it aloud, but the way her eyes lingered on shadows told Sophia enough. So they packed fast. Not clothes or bags, just movement, urgency. A silence pulsing with things neither of them could name. "Where are we going?" Sophia asked as they pulled away in a different car, this one older, heavier. "Somewhere they can't follow," Raven replied. "And somewhere I should have taken you from the start." The drive was long, the road winding through forest and fog until the asphalt turned to gravel and then to dirt. Trees grew denser, the sky thinner. No cell service. No signs. Just cold, breathless air and the growing sense that they were crossing into a place the world had forgotten. They arrived just before sunrise. A small cabin, tucked into a hollow of the woods, surrounded by ruins overgrown with moss and stone. But it wasn't the cabin that took Sophia's breath. It was what lay beneath it. Raven opened a hidden entrance behind the hearth, revealing stone steps that spiraled down into the earth. "This is sacred ground," she said as they descended. "Old. Older than me. Older than most of my kind. Vampires don't pray, but we remember." And this place remembers us. The air grew cooler, the light dimmer, until they emerged into a cavern unlike anything Sophia had seen. It wasn't large, but it felt infinite. The ceiling sparkled with natural crystals, casting soft light over carved stone walls marked with symbols that pulsed faintly in her vision. At the center, a pool of water, so still it looked like glass, black and endless. "What is this place?" she whispered. "A sanctuary," Raven said. "And a tomb." "Tomb?" Raven didn't answer immediately. She walked to the edge of the pool, her reflection wavering. "I've brought others here before." Sophia's stomach twisted. "Others?" "Before you," Raven said, voice quiet, like confession. "There were 3 humans, each one chosen, each one marked." Sophia moved slowly toward her. "You said the bond was rare, that you hadn't done this in centuries." "I haven't," Raven said. "Not since the last one died." The silence pressed against Sophia's ears. "You tried this before. Tried to create a bond." "I didn't know then what I know now," Raven said. "I thought it was desire, hunger. I thought if I turned them, the loneliness would end. But the bond doesn't work that way. You can't force it. You can't fake it. And you can't survive it if it isn't real." Sophia's voice was tight. "And what happened to them?" Raven turned, eyes dark and unreadable. "They broke. One by one. Their minds collapsed under the pressure. Their bodies followed. The bond fed on their fear. It turned on them. And you buried them here?" "I couldn't destroy them," Raven said. "They were still mine, even in death." Sophia stepped back, nausea curling in her throat. "So I'm what?" "The next experiment." "No," Raven's voice cracked. "You're the last. I swore I would never do it again. But when I saw you, it was like my soul recognized something it had forgotten existed." "That's not romantic," Sophia whispered. "That's obsession." "It's both," Raven admitted. "But it's real. And you." She stepped closer, slower, reverent. "You're not breaking. You're adapting. You're growing stronger." "What if that's not a good thing?" "Then I'll carry the consequences," Raven said. "But I won't walk away from this. Not from you." Sophia hated how her heart reacted, how the words landed not as threat but as promise. But she couldn't ignore the tremble in her hands. "I feel them," she said. "The others. In the air. In this room. Like ghosts." "They're not ghosts," Raven said. "They're echoes. And they'll test you." "What do you mean?" "This place is sacred," Raven repeated. "But it's not neutral. It's alive. It reads the bond. It tests its truth. If it finds you unworthy, it will try to unmake you." "Unmake me?" Raven reached out and took her hand. "But I won't let it." As if in response, the symbols on the walls glowed brighter. The air thickened. Sophia's knees weakened. And from the edges of the cavern, she heard voices, not loud, not distinct, but real. Whispering in languages she didn't know, and yet somehow understood. She was being pulled. Not physically. Internally. A pressure inside her chest, trying to turn her inside out. She dropped to her knees. "Raven." "It's beginning," Raven said. "The test. You have to let it in. Let it show you what it needs to show. I'll be here. I won't leave you." Sophia's vision blurred. The cave melted away. And then, darkness. She stood in a memory that wasn't hers. A room of fire and blood. A man screaming. Raven, younger, wilder, on her knees, her face twisted in grief. Then another memory. A garden under moonlight. A woman laughing. Her face blurred. Then a flash of her falling dead. The bond surged. Sophia was gasping, but the air didn't come. Her chest ached. Her mind fractured. The voices grew louder. "Break, break, break." But she didn't. She screamed. She grabbed the pain and dragged it into herself. Let it burn. Let it sear. She opened her arms and let the memories crush her. And then, silence. She was back in the cave. On the floor. Raven was holding her, arms tight, face buried in her hair. "You passed," Raven whispered. You endured. I saw her, Sophia said, shaking. One of them. The one you loved. I never stopped loving her, Raven said. But I didn't choose her. I chose you. The words were a bomb and a blade. Sophia pulled back enough to look into Raven's eyes. Then stop hiding from me. Stop controlling everything. If I'm really changing, if this is real, let me in. Show me who you are without the power, without the mask. Raven hesitated. Then, slowly, she lifted Sophia's hand and pressed it against her chest. No heartbeat. Nothing. This is who I am, she said. Empty.
Cold.
Eternal. No, Sophia said. You're not empty. You just forgot what warmth feels like. And she kissed her. Not a claim. Not a seduction. A promise.
A choice.
The bond flared between them, wild and hot, but not devouring.
Not this time.
Controlled. Merged. Two pulses becoming one. For the first time, Raven trembled in someone else's arms. And for the first time, Sophia felt powerful without being afraid. But the moment shattered as something cracked above them. Dust fell from the ceiling. The pool rippled without touch. And a voice, low, inhuman, echoing through the cavern, whispered, "She is not yours, Carmine." The voice that echoed through the sacred cavern was not loud, but it didn't need to be. It reached into bone, into blood, into the part of the soul that remembered fear before it had a name. Raven stiffened in Sophia's arms, the softness that had momentarily opened between them vanishing in an instant. Her entire body became cold, rigid, alert. "No," Raven whispered, but it wasn't to Sophia. It was to the voice, to the shadows rippling across the crystalline ceiling, to the thing now stirring beneath them. It can't be. Sophia stepped back, pulse rising. Who is it? Raven's eyes locked on the pool of water, now churning without touch. His name is Kalis, one of the firstborn. What does that mean? He was born of the original bloodline. Before rules, before order, before restraint. The voice came again, slow and amused. Still lying to her, little Raven? The water exploded. A column of black mist erupted from the center, twisting upward until it formed a figure, tall, regal, monstrous in its elegance. His face was impossibly beautiful, but wrong. Too symmetrical. Too smooth. His eyes were like dark galaxies, endless and cold. Kalis. Sophia couldn't move. The bond inside her twisted painfully, a reaction not of desire, but revulsion. She wasn't supposed to be near this thing. This being. You shouldn't be here, Raven said, stepping in front of Sophia. This place is protected. By you? Kalis laughed, and it sounded like glass breaking. You think your feeble sanctuaries can keep me out? You forget who taught you to build them. Raven flinched. Leave her alone. You stole from me, Kalis said, stepping onto the stone floor as if weightless. Again. She was never yours. But you were, he said smoothly. And through you, so is she. Sophia forced herself to speak. I don't belong to anyone. Kalis looked at her, and the air went still.
Interesting, he said.
It speaks. Raven growled. Say it correctly, or don't speak at all. Kalis tilted his head. You've grown bold in your old age, but still foolish. You think this one is different, that she won't shatter like the others. She already passed the trial, Raven said. She's stronger than you think. We'll see. His eyes flashed. And suddenly Sophia was no longer in the cave. She stood in a memory not hers, again, but this time, it wasn't Raven's. It was Kalis's. She saw blood.
Fire.
Raven, centuries ago, kneeling before him, broken and desperate. He offered her power, and she took it. Not out of hunger. Out of grief. And Sophia saw the price. Saw the chains.
The pain.
The centuries of silence. Raven had belonged to him once. And she had escaped. Barely. Sophia stumbled back into herself, gasping. He owned you, she said, eyes wide. Raven didn't deny it. He was my sire. My captor. My curse. And now he wants me? No, Kayla said. I don't want you, little human. I want to destroy what she believes she's found. You are a fantasy she cannot afford. She's not a fantasy, Sophia said. She's mine. The bond blazed between them. Raven inhaled sharply. Kalis looked intrigued. Oh, he murmured. So she fights. Get out, Raven hissed. Or I will make you. You couldn't stop me when you were mine, he said. You think this new toy makes you stronger? She's not a toy, Raven growled. She's the only thing keeping me from becoming like you. For the first time, Kalis's face cracked. Not a smile. Not anger. Something in between. Something ancient and bitter. Then let's break you both. He vanished. No flourish. Just absence. The air collapsed. The light returned. But nothing felt right. Sophia trembled. He's coming back, isn't he? Yes, Raven said. He never loses. And he never forgets. Why didn't you tell me about him? Because I didn't want you to see what I was before I found you. Raven turned away, ashamed. He made me into what I am. And I spent centuries thinking it was the only way to survive. And now? Raven met her eyes. Now I think maybe there's another way. One you're helping me see. Sophia reached for her, held her face between her hands. Then don't run from him. Don't hide. If he wants to come for us, let him try. You don't know what he's capable of. No, Sophia said. But I know what we are. And I'm not afraid of him. I'm afraid of losing what this is becoming. Raven's voice broke. I don't deserve you. Then earn me, Sophia whispered. And she kissed her again. Longer.
Deeper.
The bond roared. But Kalis had done more than threaten. He had awakened something else. A part of the bond they hadn't touched yet. That night, as they lay together in the upper room of the cabin, tangled in sweat and silence, Sophia felt it, a flicker of power just beneath her skin. Not Raven's. Hers. And when she touched Raven's shoulder, that power sparked, real, visible, electric. What was that? She asked, breathless. Raven stared at her hand. That wasn't me. Then what? Raven sat up slowly. You're evolving. Into what? Raven looked afraid for the first time. Into something we've never seen. Sophia didn't sleep that night. She watched Raven instead. Watched the way she curled protectively, the way she reached for Sophia in her sleep. The way her body responded to every touch like she'd never known softness before. But even in that stillness, Sophia could feel it. Something moving in the dark. Not Kalis. Her. The thing inside her. Not the bond. Not Raven. Herself. Something waking. Something ancient. And very, very hungry. The storm that followed Kalis's appearance wasn't made of rain or lightning, but of silence. Heavy, weighted silence that stretched between Sophia and Raven as they fled the ruined sanctuary and drove deeper into the wilderness. The bond between them pulsed hotter with each passing mile, not with desire this time, but with a tension neither of them dared to voice. Raven didn't speak. She hadn't spoken since they left. And Sophia didn't press her. There was something brittle in Raven's posture, something ancient and haunted, like the very mention of Kalis had unstitched a part of her she'd spent centuries trying to sew back together. Sophia kept one hand pressed to the window, watching the trees blur by, but her thoughts spun too fast. The memory Kalis had shown her wasn't fading. It was lodged, buried under her skin like a splinter of Raven's past. She had seen Raven broken, on her knees, collared, obedient, and it made something burn in her chest. Not pity.
Rage.
They arrived at the edges of the Appalachian Mountains by nightfall. The GPS died hours before, and Raven drove without any visible guidance, as though her bones remembered the route better than any map. When they stopped, it was in front of a crumbling cathedral swallowed by vines and snow. The stained glass had shattered long ago, and the stone statues lining the entrance were eroded, faceless. It didn't look like a place that welcomed anyone. We're here, Raven said at last, her voice hoarse. Where is here? Sophia asked. The red threshold, Raven murmured. Sanctuary of the exiled. Vampires who've rejected the covens, the politics, the bloodlines. Like you. No, Raven said, her eyes narrowing. They rejected me, too. They entered without knocking. The air was cold, and yet heavy with scent. Iron, smoke, old incense. Candles lit by unseen hands lined the altar and the ruins of the pews. And then they emerged. Vampires. Not like Raven. These ones were leaner, wilder. Their clothes were mismatched, modernity clashing with the ritualistic. One had silver piercings through her lip and eyebrow. Another wore a robe stained with centuries-old blood. All of them stared at Sophia. No one spoke, until one woman, tall, ash-blonde, eyes sharp as frost, stepped forward. "You brought a human here?" she asked. "That's new." "She's bound," Raven said. The woman raised an eyebrow. "You made a tether again? This one is different." "They all say that," the woman replied, "until they die screaming." "She fought Kalis," Raven said, "and lived." That made them pause. The air shifted. The vampires exchanged glances. "Interesting," the woman said, circling Sophia slowly. "You don't smell like prey." "She's not," Raven snapped. "She's evolving." "Or decaying," the woman said with a smirk. "Time will tell." "We need shelter," Raven said. "Just for a few days." "And in exchange?" "Information," Raven replied. "About what Kalis wants. About what's changing." The woman hesitated, then nodded. "One night. Then we talk." Raven inclined her head. They were led to a room in the back of the cathedral, a former sacristy turned sleeping chamber, lit by oil lamps and padded with worn cushions. Sophia sat on the edge of a faded bench, watching Raven unlace her boots with slow, mechanical hands. "You didn't tell me they hated you here," Sophia said. "I told you I burned every bridge." "Why?" Raven looked up. "Because I didn't want to become what they became. And because I couldn't bear the weight of their belief. They thought I was going to lead them, save them, rebuild everything Kalis destroyed. But I was broken. So I ran. And now..." Raven exhaled slowly. "Now I might have to become what they wanted me to be." Sophia stood. She crossed the room and took Raven's hands in hers. "You don't have to become anything but who you are now." "And who is that?" "Someone trying," Sophia whispered. "And that's more than most." Raven leaned her forehead against Sophia's. "I feel like I'm always running from who I was. From what I've done." "Then stop," Sophia said. "Let's run toward something instead." That night, Sophia dreamed again. But this time, it wasn't Raven's past. It wasn't Kalis. It was her. A child alone in a field of snow. A voice singing in a language that didn't exist. A woman with silver eyes touching her forehead and whispering, "You are the threshold." She woke gasping. Her skin burned with something electric, and her hands sparked blue when she touched the air. Raven jolted awake beside her. "What is it?" "I saw her again," Sophia said. "The woman from my dreams. She touched me." "That's not possible. The bond doesn't work like that." "Then it's not the bond," Sophia whispered. "It's something else." Raven stared at her. "Your blood. It's changing. Or waking up." "What are you, Sophia?" "I don't know." At dawn, the Council of Exiles called them into the nave. The woman who'd greeted them stood before a mural half erased by time. She held up a book made of stitched leather, ancient and brittle. "We've searched the bloodlines," she said. "The prophecy speaks of one born human, marked by death, but never touched by it. A vessel for change. A living gate." "A gate to what?" Raven asked. The woman looked at Sophia. "To whatever comes next." Sophia's heart pounded. "You think that's me?" "We don't know," the woman said. "But we know this. Your presence is destabilizing the veil. Vampires are changing. The bond is mutating. The rules are unraveling." Raven moved protectively in front of Sophia. "If you're thinking of using her, we're thinking of protecting her," the woman said. "From him, Kalis." He knows what she is, or what she could be, and he fears it. That's why he came. The room felt colder. And if I don't want to be a gate? Sophia asked. Then you'll still be hunted, the woman replied. But you'll be hunted blind, powerless, alone. Raven reached for her hand. You're not alone. Sophia nodded, gripping her fingers. Then tell me what I have to do. There's an old ritual, the woman said. Something that predates the bloodlines. It was meant to bind human and vampire completely, body, soul, magic. A final bond, Raven said, eyes widening. It was forbidden. Because it works, the woman said. But it comes at a price. What price? Sophia asked. You'll never be able to leave her, the woman said. And she'll never be able to let you go. You'll be one. Isn't that what we already are? Sophia asked. Not yet, Raven whispered. Not truly. Then let's do it, Sophia said. Before he finds us again. You're sure? Raven asked. This would be the end of your old life. Forever. Sophia smiled softly. That life ended the night you bit me. This is who I am now. But just as the preparations began, just as the first drop of blood hit the stone altar, a scream echoed through the cathedral. A male voice. Shouting. They're here. The red threshold was under attack. Again. The scream shattered the fragile silence of the nave, cutting through stone and dust and memory like a blade through silk. For one suspended breath, the cathedral held its stillness, as if time itself hesitated to acknowledge the sound. Then chaos erupted. Footsteps thundered in the halls. Shadows twisted unnaturally across the broken, stained glass. The exiled vampires scattered into motion, grabbing weapons that looked as old as the walls themselves, blades carved from bone, arrows tipped in obsidian, spells written in blood and memory. Raven's hand closed around Sophia's wrist with crushing urgency. Stay with me, she hissed, her voice low and taut. Don't run. Don't hide. No matter what you see. Who is it? Sophia asked, even though she already knew. Raven didn't answer. She didn't need to. Sophia could feel it in her chest, the pressure, the pull, the sudden, unbearable heat behind her ribcage. Kalis was near. Not just near. Hunting. The red threshold was no longer sanctuary. It was a battleground. As they ran down the ancient corridors, Raven's coat flowing behind her like smoke, Sophia felt the bond stretch and tighten, the power between them vibrating like a live wire. It no longer felt like a tether. It felt like a heartbeat, a second pulse inside her own. Then the first body dropped from the ceiling. One of the exiled, his throat torn open, his eyes frozen in terror. Raven didn't stop. She pushed Sophia through a narrow passage behind the altar, lit by flickering torchlight. This leads to the lower crypts, she said. You'll be safe. I'm not hiding, Sophia said, grabbing Raven's arm. We don't have time to argue, Raven snapped. You don't know what he'll do to you. I know what I'll do to him, Sophia said, and her voice, gods, her voice, wasn't entirely hers. It was layered, resonant, ancient. Raven stared at her. What's happening to you? I don't know, Sophia whispered, but I think I'm done being afraid. Something surged through her, blue light crackling beneath her skin, pulsing along her fingers. Her vision sharpened, the darkness around them retreating. And somewhere deep inside, something woke. Not the bond. Her. Her blood. Her power. Her birthright. The next attacker didn't stand a chance. He lunged from the shadows, fangs bared, claws gleaming, and Sophia raised her hand instinctively. The air bent. Time slowed. And then a wave of pure energy exploded from her palm, slamming him into the far wall with a sound like thunder cracking through bone. His body didn't move again. Raven stared. That wasn't from me. I know. You're not just bonded. You're something else, Sophia said. Something old. We have to finish the ritual, Raven said. Now. It'll make us one, Sophia whispered. Forever. Yes. Do you want that? Raven stepped closer. I've wanted it since the night I tasted your blood. They kissed, hard and breathless and raw, power arcing between them like lightning. But the moment shattered again as the walls of the nave exploded inward. Kalis stood in the debris, untouched by dust, by stone, by time. His eyes locked on Sophia, not with desire, not with malice, but with purpose. She was never yours, he said to Raven. She was mine before she was born. I wasn't born for you, Sophia said, stepping forward, power crackling along her skin. I was born to end you. Kalis's smile faltered. Just slightly, but enough. So dramatic, he said. But you don't know what you are. Then tell me. You're the product of a forgotten bloodline. One we thought extinguished. The Seraphim strain. Raven inhaled sharply. That's not possible. They were wiped out centuries ago, Kalis said. Because their power rivaled ours. Because they threatened to unmake what we are. And somehow she survived. Not just survived, Sophia said. Evolved. Kalis stepped forward. Give yourself to me. I'll teach you to control it. I'll show you what you can become. You mean what you can use me to become, Sophia said. No, you're not ready, he warned. The bond is still fragile. The power inside you is barely contained. Then let's test it, Sophia said and launched herself at him. She didn't move like a human anymore. She moved like force given form. Their clash lit the cathedral in blue and black fire, magic and shadow ripping through the air. Raven tried to intervene, but the bond held her back, not by force, but by instinct. Sophia had to do this. She had to fight. And she did. Every blow Kalis landed, Sophia countered. Every dark tendril of his magic, she burned through with light. Until finally she drove him back. But not without cost. He lashed out with one final, desperate blow, sending her crashing against the altar where the ritual was meant to take place. Raven caught her before she fell. You're bleeding, she said, voice shaking. I'm fine, Sophia whispered. Do it. Finish it. Bind us. Now. Are you sure? Before he comes back. Raven took the dagger. Cut her palm. Pressed it to Sophia's. Say it with me, she whispered. By blood, by soul, by fire and ash, we bind. By blood, by soul, by fire and ash, Sophia echoed, her voice trembling, glowing, breaking apart and reforging. We bind. Their hands clasped. The power exploded. The bond was no longer a thread. It was a river, a storm, a life. They weren't two anymore. They were one. Raven gasped, clutching Sophia's face, her eyes wide with something like awe and fear. I feel you, she whispered. Completely. Me too, Sophia said. All of you. Every wound. Every scar. Every lonely night. And still you stay? Always. But before they could collapse into each other, a laugh echoed through the ruins. Kalis, bleeding, fractured, but smiling. You've sealed your fate, he hissed. And now I'll tear it open. Then he vanished through shadow, through blood, through rage. Gone. For now. Raven turned to Sophia, her arms shaking. He'll come back. Let him, Sophia said. Next time we end it. But even as she spoke the words, the power inside her shifted again. Not painful, not wild, but urgent, like something was waking inside her. A voice, buried for centuries. It whispered one word, over and over. Awaken. 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 For the first time since that Christmas party, Sophia Bennett slept. Not drifted. Not hallucinated. Not slipped in and out of bond-induced fever dreams. She truly slept. And when she woke, it was not to pain or fear, but to the quiet sound of Raven breathing beside her, soft, steady, impossibly human. The ruins of the Red Threshold had been cleared. The remaining exiles, wounded but alive, had agreed to shelter them a little longer. No one dared approach their chamber. Not after what Sophia had done. Not after the final bond. She lay on her side, watching Raven's face in the dawn light, tracing the faintest curve of her mouth, the lashes resting against pale skin. She felt her, not just emotionally now, but in every cell. Her heartbeat thrummed in Sophia's blood. Her thoughts whispered like a second voice behind her own. And beneath it all, there was peace. Or so she thought. Until the whisper came. It started faintly, like wind moving through a distant corridor. Then it sharpened, threading through her thoughts with impossible clarity. A voice she didn't recognize, but somehow understood. You are the gate. Open. Sophia sat up, heart hammering. Raven stirred instantly, eyes snapping open, alert. What is it? Did you hear that? Hear what? A voice, Sophia said, standing. It was inside me. But not you. Not the bond. What did it say? That I'm the gate, Sophia whispered. And that I have to open. Raven stood too, tension rippling through her body. The seraphim were said to be vessels. Bridges between realms. They weren't just powerful, they were dangerous. Not because of what they could do, but because of what they could bring. What do you mean? They could reach across the veil, Raven said. Between the living and the dead. Between here and what waits beyond. You think that voice was from the other side? I think we need answers. They left the chamber in silence, walking together through the broken cathedral until they found the eldest of the exiles, a vampire so ancient she no longer remembered her name. She sat surrounded by sigils carved into the floor, her body wrapped in tattered robes, her eyes clouded by centuries. You completed the bond, the elder said without looking. I felt it. She's hearing things, Raven said. Voices that aren't mine. Ones I can't feel through the bond. Then it's begun, the elder said. She's waking. Waking what? Sophia asked. The seraphim weren't vampires. They weren't human. They were something in between. Their blood was holy once, before the world forgot what holiness truly was. And now it's chaos in disguise, the elder said. They were hunted to extinction not because they were too powerful, but because they remembered. Remembered what? Sophia asked. How to open the door. To what? To everything. The air grew heavy. The world beyond is not fire and brimstone. It's silence. And hunger. And memory. The seraphim were the only ones who could walk the line without falling. But I'm not one of them, Sophia said. I was raised human. You were born human, the elder corrected. But you're marked. The bloodline never died. It slept. And now it's awake. And the dead are listening. Sophia turned to Raven, her throat tight. What does this mean for us? It means we're running out of time, Raven said. Kalis knew. He's known all along. That's why he's coming for you. Not just for power, but to use you as a key. To open the veil? Raven nodded. To tear it apart. To bring back things that should never return. Then we have to stop him. We need to find the origin, the elder said. The place where the seraphim blood first touched earth. There is a temple, hidden in the oldest part of the world. Where? You'll feel it, she said. The blood will guide you. That night, as they prepared to leave, Sophia stood alone in the nave, staring at the broken altar. She felt it again, the voice. Clearer now. Louder. Come to us. Open. Raven stepped behind her, wrapping arms around her waist. You're shaking. I'm scared, Sophia admitted. Not of him. Not of what's coming. Of me. Of what I might become. Raven pressed her lips to Sophia's neck, just above the scar where everything began. You'll never face it alone. You say that like it's a promise. It is. Even if I change? Even if you break, Raven whispered. I'll be right there with you, breaking too. They kissed. Not with desperation. Not with hunger. With something deeper. Older. A vow without words. And that night, as they crossed the threshold of the ruined sanctuary and began their journey toward the forgotten temple, the stars above them shimmered, not as light, but as eyes. Watching. Waiting. In her dreams, Sophia stood before a door made of bone and ash and flame. Hands reached through it. Familiar. Forgotten. And the voice whispered again. If you open, we will come. And you will never be the same. The path to the temple was not marked on any map. Raven drove for 2 days without pause, following a pull neither of them could explain, a gravity buried not in the earth, but in Sophia's blood. It called her, whispered to her. It wasn't a voice anymore, it was a rhythm, a memory, a breath she didn't know she had been holding for 1,000 years. They passed from city lights into forgotten towns, from roads into wilderness, until even the stars grew unfamiliar. And then, deep in the heart of what looked like a dead forest, bare trees clawing at a sky the color of ash, they found it. A single staircase, descending into nothing. No building. No markers. Just ancient stone steps swallowed by mist and time. It's here, Sophia whispered, her voice shaking. How do you know? Raven asked. Because I've seen it before. In dreams. They descended together, hand in hand. Each step felt like walking into another lifetime. And at the bottom, carved into the stone, was a door, tall, arched, pulsing faintly with light. Symbols danced across its surface, unreadable yet intimate. This place predates vampirism, Raven murmured. It's older than everything I've known. Because I was here before you, Sophia said, her fingers grazing the door. Not in this life, but in another. The moment she touched it, the door opened with a breath of air that smelled like earth and lightning and grief. The temple wasn't a building, it was a memory given shape. Stone corridors curved like the inside of a living body. Candles burned without flame. And the walls, they hummed with her name. Not Sophia. Something older. Something sacred. Do you feel that? She asked. Raven nodded. It knows you. As they moved deeper into the heart of the temple, the bond between them pulsed differently, not just as a tether, but as a thread of recognition. Sophia wasn't just becoming. She was returning. The inner chamber was circular, with a dais in the center and a pool of black water at its base. Around it, carvings lined the walls, images of winged women, eyes burning with fire, holding back storms, standing between light and darkness. The seraphim, Raven whispered. Guardians of the veil. Not guardians, Sophia said. Gates. She approached the dais. The moment she stepped on it, her body seized, memories crashing into her like waves. Not memories from her life. From another. From others. 1,000 voices. 1,000 lifetimes. She saw herself in robes of white and gold, standing beneath twin moons. She saw Raven, different, younger, mortal, kneeling at her feet. She saw blood. Fire. Betrayal. Love. I know this place, she gasped. I lived here. I died here. I was the first. Raven was at her side in an instant, gripping her hand. Sophia, that's not my name, she said, eyes glowing now. It never was. I was Seraphiel, and I broke the veil. The pool shimmered, and from it a figure rose. Not Kalis. Her. The woman from her dreams. Silver eyes. Ethereal body. No mouth, and yet she spoke. You returned. What am I? Sophia asked. You are what remains, the being said. When they destroyed us, when they burned our wings, you were the only one who fled into mortality. You buried yourself in flesh, in time, in fear, but you could not forget. And now, the veil is thin. Kalis seeks to use your return to break the balance, to unleash what sleeps beyond. And what is that? Sophia asked. The end, the voice whispered. The souls that were never meant to return. The hunger that has no name. How do I stop it? You remember, the figure said. You awaken fully. And you decide, will you remain the gate or become the lock? The vision shattered. Sophia fell to her knees, gasping. The pool still as glass. Raven caught her, pulling her close. You are her, she whispered. You've been her all along. And I loved you then, Sophia said. Even before I knew what love was. You were my undoing. And my beginning. Their foreheads touched, Their breathing matched. Then choose me again, Raven whispered. Not because the bond says so. Not because fate demands it. Choose me because you want me. All of me. I already have, Sophia said. And they kissed in the center of the temple, surrounded by memories, by gods, by ghosts. But the kiss was short-lived, because the pool rippled again, and Kalis stepped out of it, not like a man, not even like a vampire, but like something risen from between realities. You found it, he said. Good. Saves me the trouble. You can't take this, Raven growled. It was never yours. She was always mine, Kayla said. Even before she remembered. I made her. I forged her fall. Then you'll die by her hand, Raven said. How poetic. Kayla smiled. Let's see how much of her has really awakened. And with that, the final battle began, not of fangs and fire, but of memory and power, of what once was, and what could still be. And as the temple shook around them, and Raven stood ready to die for her again, Sophia rose, eyes burning, wings of light unfurling behind her. Not metaphor. Not magic.
Truth. She was not bound.
She was born. And the gate was open. The light around Sophia crackled like a thunderstorm made of memory. Wings, real, radiant, not flesh but force, arched behind her, each feather shimmering like it had been dipped in starlight and grief. The temple trembled beneath her feet, the stones humming with her pulse. Raven stood just behind her, blood at her lip, blade in hand, eyes burning with loyalty so sharp it hurt. Across from them, Kalis stepped forward, no longer wearing a body. He wasn't man or vampire anymore. He was shape, sound, shadow wrapped in memory. His voice came from everywhere and nowhere. Look at you, he said, voice half ecstatic, half devastated. Back where you began. The gate reborn. You don't get to speak to me like you know me, Sophia said, her voice layered with centuries, like 10,000 versions of herself were speaking in unison. I remember what you did. Then you remember why I did it, he replied, stepping into the pool of dark water, which didn't ripple beneath him. You broke the veil first, Seraphiel. I didn't create this hunger. You did. I closed the veil, she said. Because I had to. Because what came through was beautiful, Kalis interrupted. What came through was possibility. You sealed away our future. I only wanted to bring it back. You wanted power, Sophia said. You fed on what wasn't meant to live. You took what couldn't be given. You broke me. Over and over again. Kalis tilted his head. And still you came back. Still you were reborn. Not for you, she said. For her. She turned to Raven, and that look held everything. Thousands of years of loss, of silence, of yearning. Found again. Finally. Every lifetime, I find you, Sophia said. And every time, you're the only thing that makes me remember who I am. Raven's voice broke. Then, let's end this. Together. Gladly, Sophia said, and stepped off the dais. The battle that followed wasn't made of steel or claws or flame. It was made of truth. Kalis struck with memory. Visions of Seraphiel's failures, Sophia's doubts, lives she had lost, people she couldn't save. He sent waves of guilt crashing into her mind, tried to fracture her into all the versions she had ever been. But she didn't break, because every time she faltered, Raven touched her. Just a hand on her arm, a whisper at her back, a thought across the bond. I'm here. And that was enough. Sophia fought back with light, not blinding, not punishing, but illuminating. She cast the truth through the temple, burning away illusion. Kalis began to shrink, not physically, symbolically. The more she saw him clearly, the less power he held. You're not a god, she said. You're not even a king. You're shadow, a remnant, a child who never healed. And yet you loved me once, he said. No, Sophia whispered. I pitied you. She raised her hands, and the veil trembled. It shivered like a mirror about to crack. But before she could cast him back, he said something that froze her heart. Then come see what you left behind. He reached through the veil, not just to the other side, but deeper, and pulled forth a shape. It was a body.
Small. Still.
Female. And when Sophia looked at her face, her soul stuttered. Raven gasped. Who is that? But Sophia already knew. Her name was Liz, she said, voice shaking. She was mine. Before I fell, before the bond, I gave her my heart, and she died when I sealed the veil. Her soul was caught between. The girl's eyes were open but empty.
Trapped.
Drifting in nothing. You locked her away, Kalis said softly, to save the world. But you condemned her to unbeing. I didn't know, Sophia whispered. You chose not to know. Raven stepped forward. This is a trick. He's using your past to bind your present. It's not a trick, Sophia said. It's a consequence. Kalis smiled. Let me open the veil. Let me bring her back. I'll leave you. I'll vanish. You can have your bond, your mortal love, your peace. All I want is to give her back to you. At what cost? Raven asked. A crack, Kalis said. Just enough to pull her through. Sophia looked at the girl. Her features were delicate, timeless. She looked nothing like Raven, and yet Sophia felt the echo of love so strong it ached. A life before this one. A love before Raven. A piece of herself lost. Don't, Raven whispered. Please. Whatever she was to you, I can't lose you to the past. Sophia turned to her. I'm not choosing her over you. But if I don't save her, what kind of gate am I? You don't owe the past your death, Raven said, tears in her eyes. You don't owe anyone anything. But I owe myself forgiveness, Sophia said. She reached forward. The veil cracked just barely. Light spilled through it, golden and terrifying. The girl's body moved. She blinked, breathed. Less. Sophia whispered. But Liz didn't answer. Her eyes were not her own. Something else looked out of them. Something vast and wrong. You brought back a shell, Raven said. He filled her with something else. I had to try, Sophia cried. You brought me back broken, the thing inside Liz said. And now you'll break too. It lunged. But Raven was faster. She shoved Sophia back and drove a blade into the creature's chest. It screamed, not with Liz's voice, but with dozens of others. A chorus of rage. Sophia caught Raven before she fell. The wound on Raven's arm bled, but she was still breathing, still fighting. He tricked me, Sophia said. He always does, Raven gasped. Kalis was laughing, even as he began to dissolve. You opened the door, he said. You cracked it. You gave us a way through. Not us, Sophia said. Just you. And she sealed the veil. With her wings, her blood, her voice. She called it closed with power born of grief and love and rage. Kalis vanished. Liz's shell crumbled. Silence returned. The temple wept light. Raven collapsed into Sophia's arms, shaking. It's over. No, Sophia said. It's just beginning. Because something was still inside her. Something she couldn't close. A piece of the beyond had taken root. And now it was whispering again. It started slowly. A flicker beneath her skin. A warmth that wasn't warmth. A whisper that wasn't language. At first, Sophia thought it was residual, just the aftermath of opening the veil, of facing Kalis, of sealing something ancient back into the dark. But as the hours passed, and Raven's hand remained wrapped around hers, and the temple fell silent around them, she knew it wasn't fading. It was growing. You haven't slept, Raven murmured, brushing a strand of hair from Sophia's cheek. You're trembling. I'm listening, Sophia replied, her voice distant. To what? To everything. She could hear the stones breathing beneath them. She could feel the wind outside bending toward her presence. The moon didn't shine on her, it pulsed. And when Raven touched her arm, she saw every lifetime they had ever loved each other flash behind her eyes. The bond was no longer a thread. It was a flood. A current.
A weight.
You're not the same, Raven whispered. I know, Sophia said. Something came through. Can we get it out? I don't think it works like that. They returned to the surface, leaving the temple behind. But the world didn't greet them the same. The sky felt lower. The trees leaned closer. The animals watched them too long. And every person they passed, even at a distance, looked at Sophia like they were seeing a god they couldn't understand. The veil was never meant to be touched, Raven said quietly as they stopped at an abandoned outpost halfway through the forest. Even by you. I didn't touch it, Sophia said. I became it. Raven froze. What do you mean? It's not just a me, Raven. I am it. I was the gate. And now, I'm still open.
No.
That's not possible. I feel the dead. Sophia, I feel them calling me, asking me to come back. We sealed it. We delayed it, Sophia whispered. But the veil is thinner now. Everywhere. And I'm the one holding it together. Raven stepped in front of her, eyes fierce. You don't have to carry this alone. I don't think I have a choice. That night, as they rested in a ruined cabin with shattered windows and candlelight, Sophia lay beside Raven, staring at the ceiling. Do you still love me? She asked. Raven didn't answer immediately.
Then, yes.
But you're changing. Into something unrecognizable? Into something terrifying. Are you afraid of me? No, Raven said. I'm afraid for you. Sophia turned toward her. You once told me you were always running from what you were. Now I think I understand. Raven brushed her knuckles against Sophia's jaw. If you go too far, I don't know if I'll be able to follow. Then pull me back. What if I can't? Then break me. The words came like prayer, soft and trembling. If I become something that wants to open that door again, end me before I do. Don't ask me that, Raven said, voice cracking. Promise me. No, please. I won't, Raven said, cupping her face. Because I won't lose you again. Not in this life. Not in any life.
They kissed. Slow. Fierce.
Desperate. Not for lust, but to remind themselves they were still here. Still skin. Still blood. Still women in love, not legends in war. But in the morning, the world had changed again. A group of vampires waited outside the cabin, ones neither of them recognized. No insignias. No alliances. Just quiet, reverent fear. You're her, one said, bowing. The Seraphiel reborn. We're not here for worship, Raven warned. No, the vampire said. You're here to choose. There are those gathering behind you, and those preparing to stop you. The world is dividing, whether you want it or not. I don't want a war, Sophia said.
But you are one, he replied.
And you'll have to decide which world survives. The whispers spread. Raven and Sophia left the forest and found chaos blooming behind them. The veil had weakened globally. Churches burned. Old magic reawakened. Vampires began evolving unpredictably. And those in power feared what Sophia's awakening meant. A secret council of elders reached out. They wanted an audience. Raven refused. Sophia agreed. Why? Raven demanded as they traveled to the neutral grounds for the meeting. Because I need to see what the old world wants from me, and decide if I'm going to burn it or let it live. That's not who you are. I don't know who I am anymore, Sophia said. But I know who I don't want to be. Kalis. At the summit, they found arrogance. Men who thought themselves immortal. Women who wore power like poison. But none of them could meet Sophia's eyes for more than a second. You've unbalanced everything, one of them accused. You brought death into the daylight. No, Sophia said. I reminded you that it was always there. You must seal yourself, another said. You must go into exile. Return to slumber. If the gate remains open, the fabric will tear. Then reinforce it, she said.
Change. Adapt.
Or fall. You threaten us. No, she said. I give you a choice. The council erupted.
Threats.
Accusations. Demands. Raven stood behind her like a storm ready to be unleashed. And Sophia? She didn't raise her voice. She simply existed. And they trembled. When they returned to their private room, Raven pushed her against the door, kissed her hard. You were terrifying, she whispered. And you were perfect. I'm not perfect, Sophia said. I'm fractured. Then I love your fractures. But that night, alone, Sophia stood before the mirror and saw something move behind her eyes. Not a memory, not a past life. Something else. Something new. Something that had never belonged to the world of the living. And it whispered, "Let me speak." The mirror didn't lie. It never had. Even when Sophia had tried to convince herself that she was still human, still grounded, still held together by bones and will and love, it had always reflected what was coming. But now it showed something else entirely. Not a shadow behind her eyes. Not a flicker of memory. But a second presence. A consciousness coiled just beneath her skin. It didn't move with her. It moved against her. Independent. Intentional. And when it spoke, it wasn't a whisper anymore. It was a voice. "Let me speak." Sophia didn't look away. She stared into the glass and answered aloud. "Who are you?" The reflection smiled, but her real face didn't. The lips in the mirror parted. "I am what you left behind. Kalis is gone. I am not Kalis." "Then what?" "I am the veil. A shard of it. You opened yourself. You became the passage. And when you closed the door, I remained. Inside you." Sophia felt her knees weaken. She braced herself against the basin. "You're a parasite. I am truth," it said calmly. "I have no shape, no voice, no will, until you gave me yours. You're using me. I was born in you. You were the gate, and now I am the key. We are no longer separate." Sophia swallowed hard. "What do you want?" "To become." "To become what?" "To live."
To breathe.
"To shape the world." "I have waited millennia to be more than a boundary. Now, through you, I can." "No," Sophia whispered. "I won't let you. Then you will break, and I will survive the shatter." A sharp pain bloomed in her chest, bright, sudden, tearing through the bond. Sophia cried out and stumbled back. Raven burst through the door seconds later, blade in hand, panic in her voice. "Sophia, what happened?" "It's inside me," she gasped. "Not just power, not memory, something real,
Alive.
a piece of the veil itself." "You're bleeding," Raven said, catching her. Blood ran from Sophia's nose, but it wasn't red. It shimmered, silver, like moonlight liquefied. "It wants out," Sophia said. "It wants to be born through me. Then we destroy it." "We can't." "Why not?" "Because it's me now." Raven stepped back. "No, I'm not possessed," Sophia said. "I'm becoming something else. Something between." "Between what?" Raven whispered. "Life and death. Flesh and memory. Past and future. The veil wants form, and I'm the only vessel it's ever had strong enough to hold it. What if it takes over? Then you have to stop me."
No.
"We've already talked about this. You have to," Sophia begged. "Because if you don't, it won't just be me who dies. It'll be everything." Raven shook her head violently. "I can't kill you. Then help me find a way to survive it." Raven nodded slowly, pain etched deep in her eyes. "We'll find a way." But the world wasn't waiting. In the days that followed, Sophia's presence sent waves through reality. Cities experienced mass dreams of her face. Children were born with memories they shouldn't have. Time bent around her in soft, quiet ways, seconds stretching too long, objects flickering with déjà vu. And through it all, the entity waited, speaking when she was most vulnerable, tempting her with peace. "Let me take the weight," it said. "Let me bear the grief, the power, the bond. I'll hold it all. You can rest." And gods, she wanted to rest. But every time she faltered, Raven was there. A hand at her back, a kiss against her knuckles, a whisper at midnight. "I still see you." But one night, Sophia lost control. It started with a nightmare, but not hers. Someone else's. Hundreds of others. The dreams bled into her. She woke screaming, and the sky above the village they'd taken shelter in turned black at noon. Thunder roared without clouds. Glass shattered without touch. People fell to their knees. Worship.
Fear.
Begging. Sophia collapsed in Raven's arms, shaking, burning. Her skin glowed like lightning caged in flesh.
It's coming out, she said.
I can't stop it. You're stronger than this, Raven said, holding her tighter. You have me. You have us. It's me, Sophia sobbed. It's not fighting me. It's waiting for me to give up. Then don't. I don't know how much longer I can hold it back. Then let me anchor you, Raven said. If it lives in you, let me live in you too. Let our bond ground it. Let love be the line it can't cross. What if I fail? Then we fall together. And for the first time in days, Sophia let herself feel. Let herself weep. Let herself be soft in Raven's arms. Let herself believe in something besides survival. But even as they held each other, the ground shook beneath them. A rupture. A scream. Not human. Not natural. Something had broken through, somewhere far away. And the voice inside her said, You waited too long. We are already here. The world was unraveling. Cities bled starlight. Oceans pulsed like veins. The sky cracked open in places, revealing not space, not darkness, but something deeper. Something that pulsed like the heartbeat of a god who had never known kindness. And at the center of it all, Sophia stood barefoot on the ruined altar of a forgotten chapel, her body glowing with something no longer mortal. Wings of broken light curled behind her. Her skin shimmered with silver veins. And her eyes no longer held a single self. She was Seraphiel. She was Sophia. She was the gate. She was the veil. Raven stood across from her, surrounded by the faint traces of a ritual she had sworn never to perform. One older than vampire blood. One meant only for the deepest kind of love, and the most desperate kind of goodbye. It's inside me, Sophia said, voice echoing through the very air. It's not a passenger anymore. It's merging. We can still stop it, Raven said, her voice shaking but steady. This ritual will rip me in half. No, Raven whispered. It will separate you. From it. From the piece of the veil, trying to consume you. And what if it kills me? Then I'll die with you. Don't say that. I will always say that, Raven said, stepping forward. Because I love you. Not just now. Not just here. Across every life, I have always found you. And I'm not losing you now. Sophia's heart cracked, not from fear, but from remembering. From knowing that before Raven, there had only ever been silence. That her soul had been echoing through centuries, waiting to be heard, to be held, to be known. And now she was. But the voice inside her snarled. You are not one. You are two. And I am stronger. Sophia dropped to her knees, clutching her head. Blood, silver and red, poured from her nose. The altar trembled. The world around them darkened. Begin it, she screamed. Do it now. Raven moved. She drew a circle around Sophia with her own blood. Spoke words in a language that had no sound, only meaning. Lit candles that flickered with violet flame. And then she reached out, not with hands, but with her heart. The bond between them burned gold, then white, then something no eye had ever seen. The ritual wasn't meant to kill or cleanse. It was meant to divide soul from soul. But only if they were in love. Only if the love was real enough to endure separation. Sophia screamed. The entity inside her screamed back. And in the bond, Raven saw everything. Every version of Sophia, every pain, every life, every ache. She saw the girl with fire in her eyes, the guardian with wings of ash, the woman who kissed her at a Christmas party and changed her world. And she held on. The ritual tore through Sophia's body. The light turned blinding. Wind howled without breath. The entity clawed to stay, but Raven's voice broke through. Come back to me, she whispered. Come back. I can't, Sophia sobbed. It's too deep. Then take this, Raven said and offered her neck again, just like she had that first night.
Drink.
Anchor. Remember who you are. Sophia's lips met skin. And in that moment, everything aligned. The first kiss, the first bite, the first bond. It was always her, always Raven. Love roared louder than the entity's hunger. And with one final, defiant scream, Sophia tore herself free. The light exploded. The chapel shattered. And when the dust cleared, she was on the ground, naked, breathless, weeping, but whole. Raven crawled to her, held her, wrapped her in her coat, kissed her temple. You did it, she whispered. No, Sophia said, voice cracked and broken. We did. The skies calmed. The ocean stilled. The veil sealed, not violently, not with fire, but with peace. And the thing that had tried to take her was gone. Not banished. Not imprisoned. Just never born. Because she chose to live. Days passed. Then weeks. The world healed, slowly, like waking from a dream. And Sophia? She didn't glow anymore. She didn't shimmer or shake. She was just a woman. And she was in love. One night, on a rooftop in the city where it all began, Raven poured them wine and lit a single candle. You saved the world, she said. No, Sophia replied. I saved myself. So I could love you longer. Raven laughed softly. You sound human. Good, Sophia said. Because for the first time, I want to be. What now?
Now.
Sophia pulled her into her lap. Now I live. Now I stay. No more running. No more war. Just us. In this life. And the next. And the next.
They kissed. Slow. Full. Real.
And this time, there were no gods watching. No destiny pulling. Just love. Two women. One bond. And a future they chose. Thank you so much for being here and for believing in this channel. If you feel in your heart, you can donate with super thanks so I can focus more and more on this project. Your support helps me keep creating these love stories and bringing them to life for you. See you in the next video.